Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. And in this video I'm going to review Charli by Charli XCX. This is the brand new full-length album by Charli XCX. She has been going into an interesting round in the sphere of pop music recently, especially with the release of her two previous mixtapes, Number 1 Angel and Pop 2. These two mixtapes got highly praised, mostly because they showed Charli moving into a different direction of pop music and actually reinventing the wheel and having some cutting-edge production from producers of PC music, who recently have shown to have some of the most cutting-edge and refreshing production in the whole genre of bubblegum bass and future pop music. And with most of the tracks from the recent Charli XCX projects being produced by PC music, it made for an exposure of a new and refreshing sound of pop music. Charli started pushing those boundaries with the release of the EP Vroom Vroom that had quite a unique and futuristic approach that would sound ahead of its time, and this led up to the releases of Number 1 Angel and Pop 2 that in a sense they truly sound like the future of pop music. The production of PC music led to most of the tracks sounding really ahead of their time, leading to lots of different artists recently getting into this more futuristic and bubblegum based sound, and Charli and her producers with these two mixtapes led into a new era of pop music, the future of pop music. In my opinion, Number 1 Angel, the first mixtape, is a great example of that. In my opinion, there are some quite great tracks on this thing. Pop 2 on the other hand was more highly praised but was even more experimental. It had more of those really weird and obscure futuristic elements to it, but in my opinion I wouldn't find that many highlights to this mixtape because I didn't really get immersed by the exaggerated amount of auto-tune in her voice, especially on Pop 2. But with that being said, even if I'm not the biggest fan out of Pop 2, I was still expecting the new album from Charli, since it was quite apparent that she would just keep progressing with this new and refreshing approach on sound on pop music, which is the case with this new album over here, since it mostly has production from AJ Cook, the founder of PC Music, who has proven in recent years that he can do some of the best sounding tracks that exist currently in the pop sphere in the mainstream. And truth be told, we can say right from the get-go that this album production-wise is amazing, it's quite revolutionary, it's truly one-of-a-kind experience when it comes to production, and not only that, but I think in terms of production this is the best work from Charli so far. Prior to the release of this album there were so many teaser tracks that were released. In fact, 7 out of the 15 tracks were released before the initial release of the album, so I'm just going to go into all of them. The first one that was released was the track 1999 that was released at the end of 2018, and in my opinion it's one of the best tracks from Charli XCX all-time period. I love the track 1999. Incredible production, I love the beat to it, it's an incredible catchy song. Troye Sivan's feature fits quite well on this track, and I love that this track has all of those references of things that happened back in 1999, and it makes it a quite clever and on-point track. When it comes though to some of the next teaser tracks, I was a bit disappointed. Blame It On Your Love featuring Lizzo, it's a quite decent song. The best part in my opinion out of this track is the quite catchy chorus. This track has one of the better choruses, but the rest of the track in general has a quite typical beat to it. It has this futuristic and nice production, but the beat itself, the melody, it just makes it for a standard synth pop and future pop tune. And also Lizzo's feature feels almost unnecessary. It's really short and it adds absolutely nothing to the song. Then there was the track Gone featuring Christine and the Queens. Quite catchy song, I like the beat to it. I think it also has a really nice chorus, but once again the track other than that is not something that much exceptional. It's just another decent pop tune, and the feature from Christine and the Queens is nothing all that special. And also at the ending point of this track, there is this weird glitchy element on the beat. There is a bit of a manipulation to the vocals and the beat, but instead of feeling quite experimental, it mostly feels rushed. It doesn't make that much sense, it feels a bit unnecessary, and it mostly seems like a show off just trying to put something experimental just for the sake of just putting something a bit more unique to it, and so it didn't add up to anything that exceptional to the song, even though production wise is still quite nice. Then there was also the quite forgettable Cross You Out featuring Sky Ferreira, decent industrial sort of instrumental to it, but once again the feature from Sky Ferreira is not something quite special or quite astonishing, and the track itself isn't something really that great. It's just another decent cut. But as the tracks would just keep coming and coming, we just lead up to some more disappointing singles, especially with the track Warm featuring HAIM. I didn't really care for this track. HAIM's feature feels almost unnecessary, it doesn't bring anything to the song, and it's a really standard and bland pop tune, which is also the case with another track that I didn't really care for, February 2017, featuring Clairo and Yaeji, and it's a really short pop tune with a minimal beat to it. The delivery from both Charli XCX and Clairo are not something that special, and then at the ending portion of this track you suddenly have Yaeji singing over this really quite monotone synth melody, and it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really make sense, it doesn't really add up to anything, it feels really unnecessary. Once again, another feature that it's just really underwhelming. And finally, 3 days before the release of the album, Charli released the finisher, the final track out of the album, 2019, featuring Troye Sivan once again, and this is pretty much what I wanted from this new album from Charli XCX. This makes for a great finisher, and this is an amazing track. Really nice futuristic approach on it. The sounds on this thing are incredible, and especially at the start it really feels like you're into a time machine and you're just going forward in time. And it's a really nice, epic, futuristic song. It really sounds like something from the future. I couldn't ask for a better finisher than this one. This is a great way to finish the album. So we have 2 great singles, both of them featuring Troye Sivan, and then we have the other tracks that either they feel way too standard pop tracks, and it makes sense, she might want to have some of the more approachable cuts out there as the main singles, but the other thing that doesn't lead up to some incredible tracks is the features, which might come up as forgettable or unnecessary. So at this point I was just expecting from the deeper cuts to actually offer something more and something more special, which is sort of the case. There were still some tracks that I was anticipating, like the track Click featuring Kim Petras and Tommy Cash, because Tommy Cash is one of my favorite hip hop artists currently, and this is a decent track. You know, it's not something all that crazy. I think the features from Kim Petras and Tommy Cash are quite solid. I wish we would have more of Tommy Cash, but the track itself is one of the more experimental moments, and it also ends on a quite interesting note with this ridiculous amount of distortion. The introduction to this thing, Next Level Charli, it's one of the better moments out of the album. I love this sort of industrial instrumental to it. It's quite futuristic, it's quite catchy. I love the delivery from Charli. This is definitely one of the better cuts, and this is pretty much what I was anticipating from the new Charli album, and this is a quite good introduction. The other highlight from me and the track I was anticipating is Shake It. Oh my god, what is this track? Like, what the fuck is this? This is the hardest and the most insane banger of this year. This track is insane, it's definitely the most experimental moment out of the entire album. Right from the get-go it messes you up so much, with the voice of Charli just filled with vocoder, auto-tune and phaser just going all over the place. And then you have 4 amazing features, one better than the next. Big Freedia kills it on this track. CupcakKe, an artist that I was anticipating to listen to this track, she kills it. She is insane, she offers an incredible verse on this thing. Brooke, her voice is just filled with all of those effects. It sounds so messy and experimental, it's all over the place. And then Pabllo Vittar just kills it over this insane instrumental, this insane snare sounds. And what's also amazing is that for each feature there would also be included a different instrumental. This track is insane. This is definitely what I was expecting from the new Charli XCX album, and I'm glad I got it. This track is mind-numbingly insane, the production is next level, and it has the best features out of the track. Everyone kills it on this song. This is a banger. Unfortunately, there's no other moment out of this album that I would say it's a highlight. You have 4 tracks in a row that are just decent and okay tracks. White Mercedes, Silver Cross, I Don't Wanna Know, and Official. Some nice production values here and there, but the tracks themselves, they're not something all that insane. They're just decent, okay tracks. So yeah, this new Charli album was a bit disappointing, especially with some of the singles, which yeah, they were more approachable, but in the end they just came off quite bland and not that interesting. When it comes to some of the deeper cuts with some of the more experimental tracks, this is where we truly get some nice bangers. But in general, this album is 15 tracks, is 50 minutes long, and it's a bit all over the place. Production on this thing is insane, I can't deny that. But there are so many tracks that could just offer more than just being decent. Lots of forgettable tracks and lots of features that could have brought something more to the table. Still though, another quite nice, refreshing and futuristic album from Charli XCX. I'm going to give this album a 6+ out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.